afternoon, Minister. I suppose in the first part of the meeting we heard about many positive initiatives being taken. So we heard from Solus, DCU, and then from the Trinity Centre for People with Disabilities. And it's great work that's been done, and it needs to be replicated, especially the model that's been offered in Trinity around the country. So I just, it needs to be funding and supports to specifically do that. But also there needs to be equity in the system, and we just heard as well that students undertaking that programme in Trinity are not entitled to the SUSI grant because it's level 5 in a higher educational institution, whereas they were doing a level 5 programme in a PLC, they would be, and also they're not entitled to the €1,000 reduction fees. So, I mean, it's something that sounds quite simple that could be rectified, and I think it needs to be addressed. Just following on from what Deputy Collins raised as well, I mean, one of the biggest issues that I think we all hear about is the waiting time for assessment and then the required therapies and interventions upon that assessment, and that the CDNTs are not fully staffed. I mean, I actually submitted a PQ to you in July asking about the number of additional places that we made available in university for those who wish to study occupational therapy, physiotherapy and speech and language therapy. And in your reply, you indicated that an additional 9 places have been secured in physiotherapy from this September gone by, and an additional 8 places in the level 6 physiotherapy, and you didn't refer to any others. Are you telling me that that's the only additional places that were made available this year? Because that seems very low. It's something we're hearing that there's a huge shortage of, and I know you talked about retention being a huge issue, and that's something the HSE need to address. But I mean, there's a need for all of these professions across the board, not just in children's disability services, but also in assisting older people and in the community services and supports that are being offered to disabled people. So I welcome the fact that there is engagement ongoing, but I'm hoping that that will be dramatically increased in next year, say, please. So thank you.
Yeah, look, I want to thank Deputy Tully. I presume if that's the answer to the PQ that is the full factual position, but I'll double check for you. But it's worth stating, I suppose, the role of my department versus the role of others. So, I mean, my department I effectively see as a bit of a service provider, so from a public service point of view. So a line department can come forward to my department and say, listen, we need more medicine places, we need more nursing places, we need more speech and language places, and then it's the job of my department to work with that department to try and put those places in. I've written to every member of the Cabinet, at least once, more than once I think though, making people aware of that. So workforce planning is something I genuinely think the country needs to get a lot better at. We do have, and what I'm saying today is not just that people are kind of sitting down having conversations about it. What I'm saying is we picked medicine last year and we made really good progress, in fairness to colleagues in the Department of Health. They identified that there was a need for at least 200 more undergraduate medicine places in Ireland. And we got agreement to put those in place, to put them in place over the next 5 years, I believe. And we got a funding agreement. Crucially, we got the clinical placements too, because you can't train a doctor without that. We're now going to do the same on therapies. So you can absolutely ask me to create 100 more engineering places today. And I don't mean to be flippant, but we probably can, right? We probably fund the university and they create the places. Every place, as you know, obviously has to be matched with the clinical placement. So that is why it requires that working together piece. So we've a very active piece of work going on now on therapy places. That figure of 9 you referenced, I think if I was talking about medicine, not this September, the September before, the number of extra places created was in the single digits. This year, the number of extra places was 60. Next year, it'll be at least a 60 more. So it's an example of how we can begin to scale it up if we put a real focus on it. And I just want to absolutely assure you that therapies is the priority area. Therapies and nursing, actually, that has been chosen for that exercise. And my colleagues are engaging very intensively with the Department of Children and the Department of Health on those issues. On the Trinity Centre for People with Intellectual Disabilities and Access to Supports, I will take a look at that. I mean, I think that's you're right to highlight that anomaly, that if you were doing a level 5 in one place you get it, and if you don't in another. We'll see if we can move on that in the months ahead. In general, you will find sometimes students with a disability are accessing different other supports as well, so I just need to look at it all in the round. And obviously on the reg fee, I'd like to do a lot more on registration fees in the years ahead, but the reg fee this year was tied to the €3,000 registration fee for the Free Fees Initiative. So many tens of thousands of people did benefit, but except also some didn't. And we'll look and see if we can build on that in the next budget too.